On the afternoon of July 9, 1943, C-47 aircraft and CG-4A gliders were assembled at selected airfields in North Africa, preparatory to the airborne invasion of Sicily. The takeoff was made in the early evening. As the first planes gunned their motors, streamers of thick dust were raised on the airport, through which the gliders climbed into the clear air above and turned toward the island which was to receive the force of this attack. For the first time, Allied commanders had chosen gliders to spearhead an actual invasion. The glider-tug combinations arranged themselves in formation following takeoff and pointed out to sea. Upon reaching the Mediterranean, the low-flying teams were clearly silhouetted against the water as they set out for Sicily. Proper flight order was assumed at a point of assembly where other teams from other areas joined to form wave after wave of airborne troops and equipment. On Sicily itself, the landings were made at night. Some gliders landed in tomato patches, some in open fields, and others in vineyards. Despite high winds, weak moonlight, and the unfamiliarity of British pilots with the technique of short-field landings and the American gliders they flew, the mission was accomplished and objectives taken. General Montgomery declared in evaluating this new effective weapon that the use of airborne troops was largely responsible for the success of the landing force and speeded up operations by at least a week. Back in the United States, Troop Carrier Command and Airborne Command have been training for the Sicilian invasion and for future operations of this sort. The normal tow planes for gliders are Troop Carrier C-47s. In a normal tow, a C-47 will pull one CG-4A glider. Nylon tow ropes, 350 feet long, are equipped with a thimble and plug at each end. Trained ground crews run out to attach the rope to the C-47. The jaws of the tow release are opened from the cockpit, and the plug is installed. Similarly, the other end of the rope is installed in the nose of the glider. The tow plane pilot receives the signal that the glider's ready and guns his motors. And the team of C-47 and glider accelerates down the runway. The nylon tow rope stretches slightly as loads are applied, then slowly returns to its original length. This absorbs surge loads on takeoff and in flight. The glider pilot holds his ship straight behind the C-47, then climbs to a position above the tow plane, which then also takes off. This is the normal tow position of the glider in relation to the tow plane. It's also feasible to tow in a position below the slipstream of the tug. At the desired time, the glider pilot releases the rope. The tow plane will then drop the rope over the takeoff field. Although a single glider is normally towed, the C-47 is capable of towing two fully loaded CG-4As. Many other types of combat aircraft are suitable and easily modified for glider towing. The B-25, for example, tows one glider. The Navy's PBY can make a single tow, but it's also capable of double towing. In this case, the glider is taking off in the low tow position. The fast and versatile P-38 does a fine job of towing the CG-4A. The B-17 can tow two gliders with ease. While the huge four-motored C-54 transport points out the possibilities of multiple tow. 3 CG-4As have been lifted by this plane, which uses only 2,000 feet of runway before the combination becomes airborne. Two types of landing gear are used by CG-4A gliders. The jettisonable type landing gear may be dropped at any time by pulling a release in the glider. This permits a landing on the reinforced skids, which are on the underside of the fuselage. In this case, there is no control of the glider after it is touched, and it stops quite abruptly. The majority of CG-4A gliders are now equipped with the more effective fixed-type landing gear. This fixed gear allows a latitude of movement not possible with the jettisonable gear, and quick stops may be made by using brakes. The gears are interchangeable, however, and thus may be selected for any given operation. All CG-4A gliders are equipped with spoilers, which are used to increase the rate of descent. And the glider on the right is demonstrating their employment. Spoilers are metal strips 4 inches by 30 inches, flush with the top of the wing and aft of the leading edge. A lever operated by the pilot causes them to rise perpendicular to the wing, thus spoiling the flow of air over the wing and increasing the rate of sink of the glider. In landing, the glider must be able to get into a small area and stop quickly. Another device used for this purpose is the arresting parachute, which, when sprung from the tail, acts as an air brake and enables the pilot to point the glider down sharply without building up excess air speed. The chute is contained in a small pack, which is attached on the left-hand side of the fuselage under the rudder. When the release is pulled from the pilot's seat, the chute is spilled. It then billows out behind, acting as a brake and reducing the airspeed of the glider. If desired, the chute may be dropped off at any point by pulling another release. For the quickest possible stop on the ground, it has been found that the fixed gear with brakes is the most efficient. To stop short, the glider comes in over the edge of the field, lands on the wheels, jams on the brakes, and pushes the nose onto the skids which grind into the dirt. With all these varied possibilities in landing gear and arresting equipment, the CG-4A can land practically anywhere. Any open farmland such as this offers innumerable landing areas in which great numbers of gliders may be landed. Here is one landing in an open meadow. A country road also provides a good surface for landing. In fact, it's much like a runway. And the glider is stopped by pushing the nose down. Though not designed as an amphibian, the glider can land very well on water. In such a case, the wheels are jettisoned and the landing is made on the skids. The glider will float high, long enough for troops to get out, and will float at wing level for hours. The CG-4A is ruggedly built and will take a hard landing successfully. Even in landings such as these, where the wing accidentally strikes the ground, the glider pivots to a stop without serious damage. Though the glider is not normally expected to be expended, it may on occasions land in scrub growth, which will do considerable damage, even tearing off wings. However, even in such landings as this one, the strong tubular steel fuselage protects the occupants. The nose is seen to have suffered very little damage, and the interior is seen to be completely intact. At the conclusion of a training maneuver or an actual invasion, the gliders will be found widely scattered in small fields where a tow plane cannot land. It's a difficult task involving much delay and many man-hours of work to take them apart and carry them to an airport for reassembly. This delay and 60 to 90% of the man-hours required can be eliminated by the use of pickup planes, which retrieve the gliders from almost any open area. In this operation, rope is run forward from the glider's nose to the pickup station, where it connects with a loop clipped to two upright poles. In the pickup plane, there's a winch holding a 1,000-foot cable, at the end of which is a hook. This hook is held in position at the tip of the arm, which extends below the plane. When the hook catches the loop, it's pulled free of the plane's extended arm. And cable is paid out smoothly from the winch. As it pays out, a brake is immediately applied to the drum, stopping it after several hundred feet of cable have run out. The glider is thus accelerated quickly but smoothly into flight and pulls up into normal tow position behind the plane. The CG-4A will carry a normal load of over 4,000 pounds. This means that up to 18 fully equipped airborne troops may be carried, including the pilot and co-pilot. The troops enter through doors on both sides and sit facing each other on benches. It's also designed to carry a jeep and 6 men. Because the glider is equipped with wheels, the tail must be raised before the jeep can be loaded through the nose. This tail lifting is accomplished by means of a metal pipe and 2 2x4s which are installed so as to hold the tail up during loading. The nose may then be lifted, exposing the open cargo compartment. The jeep is backed in on small ramps. In flight, 4 men actually sit in the jeep, which is lashed directly behind pilot and co-pilot. Similarly, the glider will carry a trailer and 7 men, including the pilot and co-pilot. In the cargo compartment, tie-down points are provided at floor level along both sides and at front and rear for lashing equipment securely. The Baker-Bolin has been found to be a very satisfactory knot for securing loads, since if slack develops during flight, it may be taken up without undoing the lashing. In flight, 4 men sit on benches behind the trailer, the 5th on a hinged seat by the door. The 37mm anti-tank gun is an important weapon which may be carried. When any large piece of equipment is to be carried, some or all of the light benches must be removed from the glider. In the case of the 75mm howitzer, the front pair of benches are taken out and ropes installed at tie-down points for lashing. The howitzer is then rolled into the open nose, trail piece first, and tied securely on all sides. Clover leaves of ammunition may also be loaded on the floor directly under the barrel of the howitzer. The hinged ramps are then swung up and the nose lowered and latched. On a larger experimental glider, the XCG-13, the nose is raised and lowered by a hydraulic system. This glider, also designed by WWII, has wings the same size as the CG-4, but the cargo compartment is much larger. The XCG-13, which may be in production in 1944, is one of several large gliders which are being developed. It's designed to carry a useful load of 8,000 pounds. It will, for example, hold 30 fully equipped troops or a jeep and a 37mm anti-tank gun plus operating crew. The larger cargo compartment enables this glider to carry the standard 105 millimeter howitzer, its crew and ammunition. The XCG-13 is equipped with spoilers and also has large perforated flaps for increasing its rate of descent and enabling it to land in small areas. This and other larger gliders are expected to be in operation in early 1944. We now see a tactical maneuver. This is the culmination of long training by glider pilots and glider-borne troops. The men run for the rows of gliders, load them with jeeps, guns, howitzers, ammunition, supplies of all sorts. Combat teams pile into the waiting ships. This is the final phase of training in which the airborne teams show their ability to spearhead invasion from the skies. As the troops pile in, ground crews draw the gliders into position for the takeoff. Tow ropes lie ready in rows by the runway. The first tow plane wheels onto the runway, and as it straightens, efficient crews dash out to attach the tow ropes. The other end of the rope is fastened quickly to the loaded glider. The tow plane guns its motors. The rope tightens, is taut, and the team, tow plane and glider, accelerates down the runway for takeoff. Working with speed and precision, the ground crews hitch up the following tow planes and gliders. Planes wheel onto the runway while gliders roll past their wingtips, and crews rush onto moving wings to install ropes with maximum speed. Every 30 seconds, another tow plane and glider start off. The entire formation is in the air in a matter of minutes. Assembled in formation, the tow planes and gliders head for enemy territory, 100 or more miles away. While still over friendly areas, the formation flies high. When approaching enemy territory, the formation drops low to fly just above tree level for maximum concealment and surprise. They fly over woods where possible, since in this way they are less visible from above and below. In an airborne invasion, glider-borne troops and paratroopers may be landed in adjacent areas for mutual support. At quick intervals, paratroopers pile from the transports and float slowly down to land in a strung-out pattern across field and forest. As they reach the ground, the paratroopers tear themselves loose from their harnesses and run to the equipment chutes to secure weapons, ammunition, and supplies. Since both parachutes and gliders are a normal part of airborne operations, it's of interest to compare them as a means of landing men and supplies behind enemy lines. As the paratroopers tumble out of their planes, they must descend more or less vertically into whatever type of terrain lies below. Each plane carries perhaps 16 paratroopers who float down in a line at about 80-foot intervals. They blanket the countryside in a scattered pattern and assemble after securing their small equipment from the container chutes. No very large equipment can be dropped. And now into other fields come the gliders. First seen as they come up over the edge of the trees, they cut loose from the tow planes and begin their glide to a landing. They may land off to the other side of the trees, out of sight. They may land in a field straight ahead in the direction they were flying. But here they turn and head back toward a small clearing in the woods. This ability to vary the approach, to change direction, to land in the unexpected spot, adds tremendously to the element of surprise in glider landings. Two more gliders approach to land in a small cul-de-sac surrounded by trees. They must land accurately in this spot. It may mean they approach upwind. It may be crosswind. It may be downwind. It doesn't really matter in a glider. They float in, controlling their rate of descent with spoilers, slipping, fishtailing, even stalling deliberately at times to lose altitude near the ground. And as they roll forward on the fixed landing gear, they push the nose down on the skids into the dusty ground as they jam on the brakes in order to stop as quickly as possible. Almost before the gliders stop moving, troops are piling out of the doors and emergency exits and dashing for the trees and cover. More gliders pour into a small clearing with thick trees on all sides and scrub growth scattered throughout the area. But this is no hindrance. Though wings may be torn, the gliders can land in almost any type of terrain without danger to the occupants or equipment. While on the ground, rolling on the landing gear, there's still much controllability. By using the rudder and brakes, the glider may be turned to roll up to the edge of protecting woods so that troops may leap out into cover rather than into open fields where they would be visible and exposed to enemy fire. The gliders land in a dense pattern, coming swiftly into the small areas, depositing large numbers of troops and equipment in fields such as may be found almost anywhere in the world. They sweep in from all sides in a bewildering rush of airborne striking power, landing with combat troops which are ready to leap out and fight almost before the glider stops moving. Another glider springs in a resting chute. Now the gliders are almost all on the ground, and as they slide to a stop, it's only a matter of seconds for the airborne troops to open the doors, push out the emergency exits, and leap from the glider. And now the tempo of ground activity quickens. Jeeps lurch out of gaping glider noses. Troops from many gliders rush past. Still another glider comes in, landing near the woods. Troops burst out and head for cover. All types of equipment are unloaded with speed and efficiency. Gliders with complementary loads are landed near each other. Enough jeeps are carried to tow such other equipment as trailers and guns. The 37mm anti-tank gun comes out of a glider which has been landed close behind one with a jeep. Both are unloaded by their crews, rolled up, hitched together, and headed for the woods at top speed, past the row of other gliders which have landed in an accurate line at the tree's edge. A special cable attached to the rear of the jeep raises the nose of the glider as the jeep starts forward. From another glider, the howitzer ammunition is unloaded, and then the howitzer itself unlashed and rolled out. In this maneuver, only tactical weapons are carried, but for other missions, the glider can also carry airborne engineer equipment, such as tractors, scrapers, and so forth. Now the 75mm howitzer is attached to the jeep, and this crew hurries on with the other airborne troops. The final phase of the maneuver may now be observed. A portion of compactly landed troops extend themselves through the covering woods, swiftly taking positions. The Jeep and its 37mm anti-tank gun move rapidly down the trail and prepare for action. Within a few moments, a large body of troops has been transported to an area, has unloaded a large quantity of artillery, small weapons, ammunition, and other supplies, and is now spreading out into the area. This quiet forest scene, a moment ago empty, now bristles with weapons and armed troops. And again, as they conceal themselves, the forest returns once more to its original appearance.